Welcome to Drinking Bros, presented by GhostBed.com.
Swoosh.
What is up? Welcome to the Drinking Bros Baseball Show, episode number 8, I believe. Something like that. We kind of do sometimes 2 a week, sometimes 1 a week. It's been like the 4th week, though, I feel like. But anyway, we're here. How you feeling today?
Feel good.
For those who don't know, my name is Rob Fox. I'm joined by Drinking Bro legend Dan Hollaway.
This has been a good week for baseball so far, right? Except for the whole thing where they're trying to fuck their organization up.
Oh, what's been the best part for baseball so far?
Fernando Tatis.
Fernando Tatis getting hurt, the All-Star game getting moved, or them punishing a player for being fun and cool.
Yeah, I mean, that one is very bizarre to me, to be honest.
Right.
You would think with Fernando Tatis signing that massive deal, people like Acuna being around and et cetera, they're the future of baseball, and they're not like their fucking predecessors. They're not Mike Trout. They are lively. They shout. They're Latin players. They fucking like hanging out. They love the game. They're very animated and shit, and that's the way that baseball is going to be. So if you're not on board with it, if you're not on board with whatever it is your best players are choosing to do, you're an idiot, right?
Yes.
I don't.
By and large, yes. Like if you're the NBA and you're like, "Hey, Kyrie, cool it on the flat Earth shit," that's one thing, I guess. But yeah, like why wouldn't you? When did the NBA stop telling players to get excited about dunks? 1969.
I don't know.
If ever, like the ABA merger, probably.
It's a good question. I don't know.
Definitely not. Like they're definitely not getting mad at people. Like you have to really say something horrifying or like literally like, you know how you joke like, oh, that guy dragged his sack across his face when he dunks on someone. You'd have to literally take your compression shorts and regular shorts off and actually drag your sack across a face to get a tech after dunking in the NBA at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's it is what it is, though, right? I mean, people are slow to reform, and the baseball writers are no help. The way they've handled the fucking Hall of Fame and awards is preposterous. They're just the worst.
You know, one thing I would actually love to get into at some point on this show, and we could talk about it a little right now for that matter. I loved talking to Jared Diamond the other day. He seemed like a good dude, but like I don't know if there are really more than like 4 likable baseball writers, young or old. Like, because the young guys are all really up their ass analytically.
Yeah.
And are the ones that are like, no questions asked, moving the All-Star game was a good idea. Which I'm not saying, look, I think moving the All-Star game was not a good idea, but like, you can ask questions about it, right?
You should be able to ask questions, you would think, yeah.
Right. But they're just like, there's no question right idea. You know what I mean? Like, just very on board with that situation. And again, like I said, up their ass on statistics and stuff to the point that, I mean, I remember getting in a Twitter argument one time where some guy was like, essentially like being nervous doesn't matter in baseball.
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't understand why any of this stuff is happening right now. I don't know why you feel as an organization. I mean, we talked about it on fake news that just aired actually, but all these large corporations that get involved in certain things, I don't understand why they ever get involved in it. Now, baseball, I do understand because they're pandering to their sponsors, right? They've been hemorrhaging money the last 2 years, and they don't want to lose more sponsorship. This wasn't about how Major League Baseball fans feel about voter ID laws in Georgia. This is about how the people that sponsor stadiums and fucking teams feel about it, and TV. That's it, right? So now these corporatist assholes who are risk averse and not at all plugged into what's actually going on in America are making decisions that affect everything, and that shit runs downhill. We've seen it already in the NFL, and now we're going to see it in baseball too. The average baseball fan is not woke, right?
No.
Not even close. It's other than hockey, it's the second most conservative fan base that exists. In the 4 major sports. NASCAR is not a sport.
Probably the oldest, too. I would imagine hockey's younger.
Hockey's a little bit younger, but it's more affluent because it costs a shitload of money to buy all that goddamn equipment.
Unless, like, I mean, you know, like, they might give it out for like free in Canada and Slovakia or something. Yeah. But yeah, in the United States, it costs a shit ton of money.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's weird. Before we get too deep into this, we just want to shout out our fantasy league managers. I'm one of them. You're one of them, obviously. But we also have Drinking Bros mainstays: Craig Dulesky, Brian Korpowski, Richard Danoff, Jordan Wenzel, obviously, and then Troy Bentley and Sean Chastain have joined as well.
Well, I want to say, by the way, too, Wenzel, Bentley, and Chastain, I believe, specifically maybe Korpowski as well. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting anyone because it all happened so fast. Mm-hmm. But those three guys in particular, I had to hit up at the very last second to be like, hey, you wanted to be in a league. Would you maybe want to run a league? Like Dulesky and Danoff were kind of down from the beginning.
Yeah, they're always down.
Yeah, which is awesome, too, by the way. I'm not like saying, like, you know, you deserve less credit, but thank you to the people I DM'd being like, please, please, please run a league.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan has done stuff for the show before, and Brian Korpowski is actually a member of the Bronx Blues, the guys that go to Yankees games together all the time. We've hung out with those guys a couple times up there, so they've all been deeply involved in Drinking Bros sports for a while now. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys. Helped me out quite a bit. And Danoff, if you win your league, you owe me some shit because I drafted for you, so... I'm just going to say that now.
Yeah, whatever the prize is, you got to split it. So just if it's a jersey, cut that shit in half.
I was going to hope for a baby then at that point.
Yeah,
just I mean, get half a baby.
Do you want the top half or the bottom half or left or right?
Top half is better to frame. Bottom half a little more useful.
I don't know what to say about that. You're the one that has a child on the way, so you'd know. I guess we can start off by talking about how Cobb County has been, this is just ridiculous. So the All-Star game moving, we talked about it. This is the third time this week I've talked about it, so I'm kind of getting sick of it. But essentially what had happened was the All-Star game, which generates about $100 million in revenue for whatever city it's in, was moved from a predominantly black neighborhood to a predominantly white one. That is the effect of all this.
Yeah.
Because nobody's changing any laws. Right? Georgia's not going to go change its laws now because Major League Baseball decided to fucking peace out. This is not going to happen.
So one thing that really blows my mind about this, and I don't know if you talked about it already, and again, look, like you've pointed this out too, like there are some things about the Georgia law that make no sense to be upset about. Like I think the ID stuff you've talked about. There's other stuff that a little eyebrow raising maybe. Like why can't you drop an absentee ballot at any fucking polling location that's already collecting ballots or something like that.
Yeah, if they're checking your ID versus the ballot, I don't see why not.
Right.
Frankly.
If you've already been ID'd twice to register and then to get the fucking absentee ballot.
Right.
But there's others. But what really like drives me crazy about this is, you're only entrenching everyone.
Yeah, I mean, you're forcing people to take sides, and that's not a good idea if you're a corporation.
Right.
A good idea for a corporation would be what the guy at the Masters said, right? I mean, for all of their dark history, and dark is actually a pun because it's been anti-dark for the most part.
Right.
For all of their dark history at the Masters, it was a pretty nuanced stance. The guy was like, look, us and our members, and I'm sure in parentheses, I hope, is after that, but we and our members want people to have access to voting, period. Like, there's no question about that, but it's not our job to fucking tell the state what to do. It's our job to put on a goddamn golf tournament. That's essentially what he said. And he's 100% right about that. He was like basically said that's the politicians' jobs to pass laws and stuff. That's not on us. You're the ones that fucking voted for him.
Right.
You didn't vote for me as the head of the Masters. Somebody else did, and that's my job to run this. So mind your fucking business. The other thing about this is that I didn't happen to see this interview, but Jake Tapper from CNN tweeted, MLB officials
That's what I was going to tell you about.
MLB officials made the decision because if they didn't, then the decision would be left to individual players and individual all-stars, some of whom no doubt would have individually boycotted the game themselves. That is absolutely patently false. Baseball players are about 80% conservative. There's plenty of data on this stuff. Even the younger guys.
You could have had any African American specifically. I doubt, for example, Ronald Acuna Jr. would have boycotted the All-Star game.
No.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. He might not have made the All-Star game, but just to say he did. I could see like Andrew McCutcheon.
Yeah, maybe he's been outspoken politically in the past, but fuck him. to be honest.
Yeah.
I disagree with this. I think this is complete nonsense what he's saying.
So actually, that's not the Jake Tapper thing I was going to show you.
Okay.
So there was another thing.
Well, I know the other thing is that they're asking if CNN's going to leave Georgia now.
No, that's not it either.
Okay.
Actually. So one of the things Tapper said, and this was an anonymous MLB official, I guess, told him this.
Right.
Essentially, if MLB, this is according to an anonymous person, so take a grain of salt and everything. If the MLB had not acted, the press would have started hounding individual players.
That's probably true. Yeah.
About the laws.
That's probably true.
And the MLB was like, so essentially the MLB was worried about it becoming a bigger deal.
So think about what Jake Tapper's saying right now. He's saying that me and my colleagues are such fucking cunts that we're going to harass the shit out of these athletes for something they have nothing to do with for the next 3 months. And the effect of that was that Major League Baseball took $100 million away from black people.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jake, for admitting that you're full of shit and that you're a piece of shit, because that's exactly what you just did, my man.
It's also worth noting, by the way, just in terms of like asking the players or whatever, arguably the lowest education level of any major sport. So you have college graduates hounding high school graduates to give them the answer they want about.
Yeah. And I mean, 30% of the league is Latin American, right?
Right.
From countries that, I mean, they're definitely not going to be on the side of this because they don't like the government in general.
Well, if they're Venezuelan or Cuban, for
yeah.
sure. I don't know about a Dominican player. I don't know anything about the Dominican government, but yeah.
It's so-so. So there are a number of people pointing out that CNN's been on the fucking front lines of trying to fuck Major League Baseball up with this whole thing, and that's they're an activist media organization now. So a number of people, Stephen Miller said CNN's headquarters are in Atlanta. If CNN won't leave Georgia, will the CNN workers start quitting and boycotting their jobs? Fusili Spock asked. CNN was the one spreading and standing behind the original lie to their employees' care. Another person said, if only someone in the media had told the truth about the law, actually informed the public rather than doing their best to help Democrats simply spitting out quote unquote Jim Crow 2.0, which is, by the way, what Megan Rapinoe has been talking about all week. I don't know why anybody gives a fuck what that stupid cunt thinks, because she's one of the dumbest human beings on earth. She's completely fucking narrowly pigeonhole focused on her own plight. These motherfuckers in the U.S. women's national team, they're not generating as much revenue as the men. They may in this cycle because they qualified for the World Cup and the men didn't. But if you include the last time the men qualified for the World Cup, that pay cycle, and including the women's fucking winning the World Cup, right?
Yeah.
They still made $12 million more than the fucking women did. So the fact that they're asking for equal pay doesn't make sense there. It also doesn't make sense in the fact that the women negotiated their own fucking salaries. They negotiated because they want to have their salary paid in full, regardless if they play or not. As long as they're on the roster, they get paid for every single game. And they are not for every game, but they get paid for the season. They get paid $100,000 base salary.
Yeah.
And then they get paid a certain amount more depending on which tier they are, 1, 2, or 3.
And
right?
They negotiated this with the U.S. Soccer Federation or whatever.
Correct, yeah.
So
USSF.
Honestly, you know who the women should be mad at?
Themselves.
Who should, no.
Or even the arbitrator.
No, even another one. Who they should be demanding to not have equal pay.
Yeah.
Or whatever is all the other women's teams.
Yeah, because they all suck.
Well, and you got to think, by the way, in terms of what the Women's World Cup generates, which is a lot less than the Men's World Cup, how much of that comes from the United States?
Yeah.
Shouldn't they just be getting the lion's share of what the Women's World Cup generates?
Maybe, I don't know. And the other part of that is the men's team, by the way, they also negotiated their own salaries, and their salaries are based on playing in the game. You get paid for being on the roster and in the game, right? Whether you play or not, you get more money for playing. You get more money for
literally seeing the field.
For seeing the field, for who the opponent is, right? Whether it's a friendly or a bigger match, if the opponent is good or bad, and then you get paid based on your actual performance. Both teams, the women's and the men's teams, chose these paths on their own. And now the women, because they fucked up badly, now they're fucking complaining about their fucking plight. No, you should have fucking negotiated better. It's a business.
I'm a little upset that the men's team doesn't do better considering they get paid per goal.
Yeah, well, the U.S. men's team is a fucking joke. Let's be real about that.
That's pretty upsetting that they literally, like, all of them are like, we get more if I fucking score a goal. Like, at least Clinton Dempsey was getting money, but
but you're right about that. It's the other women's sports sucking. Like Megan Rapinoe was talking about Draymond Green's Twitter post, right? Draymond Green didn't fucking tag a bunch of people from the U.S. women's soccer team. He tagged a bunch of fucking WNBA players who are subsidized entirely by the NBA. They don't make any fucking money.
Yeah.
That organization makes zero. They make negative dollars.
Right.
They're in the red every single year, and they have been since they started to exist, 20 years ago? They've never made a single fucking dollar. Not one goddamn dollar.
Right.
And they're fucking complaining about... And what Draymond Green was saying, by the way, wasn't that... He wasn't saying they weren't fighting for higher pay. He was saying they're not giving the fucking people a reason to pay them more. You understand? Like, go out and fucking do what Kobe did and do what Steph Curry did back in the day. Make it popular in China. Boost the revenue of the league at large.
Well, they go
and you
play in
personally
China.
will make more money.
They end up going to play in China and play in Australia and wherever the fuck else. The only argument that I have for paying WNBA players more, essentially, would be a lot of them make so little that they're forced to go overseas where no one pays attention. No one in the United States pays attention to them.
Yeah.
So it would be like, okay, instead of giving them 30, because a lot of them make like 30, 35, like rookie salaries or whatever, stuff like that. Maybe give them 70 so they can stay in the United States and stay on Twitter more and be bitches to each other or whatever, and then make more people interested in the WNBA. It'd just be like an investment type of salary situation. Because if they have to go play 2 other seasons in China and Australia, then they don't have time to cultivate this sort of social... Because, like, really, honestly, dude, I'm not saying women's basketball is the same product as men's, but I also do a college NBA, but I also do a college basketball show, which is dog shit compared to the NBA. So for me, it's just like there's ways to make it interesting. But I mean, you're right on everything you said, which is
there's certainly ways to make it interesting, and it's ultimately up to they think that because there's a men's league of something and it makes a lot of money, that they're somehow entitled to do the same thing. No, this is a fucking business. You make a product that people want and they'll fucking buy it, period. Right? If you're looking for investment, like if you think the NBA owes you an investment to make your league better, or more, we should have more marketing from the NBA. Why? Why would you be guaranteed equal outcome? Do your own fucking work, you stupid bitch. Like, why the fuck does somebody have to come invest in your company that's failing for 20 consecutive years? All of a sudden, what kind of fucking presumption is that?
Yeah.
Imagine that if you were a major corporation. Like, imagine Spanx, by the way. They're a $1 billion company, great company, and she gave away, once she sold, half of her net worth. She gave away billions of dollars, by the way. Anyways, I don't want it to sound like I'm denigrating her. Imagine Spanx had failed over and over, missed their goals for 20 years, and all of a sudden she was like, well, I mean, fucking Haynes should really come bail us out and fucking do marketing for it because it's not fair. It's not fair. Shut the fuck up, you stupid bitch. Jesus Christ, man. That is why you're fucking a failure, by the way. That's why you're a failure, because you're expecting other people to do the work for you, and that's exactly what Draymond Green was saying, although he didn't say it all that clearly.
Well, I think one reason that the one women's sport that is on the same level as men's in terms of popularity, essentially, women's tennis, has done so well over the last, I guess at this point, probably 40, maybe 50 years, is great personalities, right?
Faces and heels.
Yeah.
That's why you don't hear a lot about WWE divas whining about pay, because they get paid a shitload of money because they draw a lot of fucking eyeballs. And I
think they wanted to get away from that when the WNBA started. Like, I don't think they wanted, I don't know this for sure, but like, you need villains and everything else. So like that goes back to my point of, obviously no one in the WNBA should have LeBron James' salary or whatever. However, maybe if you pay them enough where they don't have to leave the United States to go like earn a total of $100,000 a year across 3 different seasons. Maybe they have time to cultivate the whole heel situation in there. I mean, they could do it anyway, I guess, but
I don't really give a shit.
Right.
I don't care if it works or not. That's not my problem. It's not anybody's problem except for the people that want it to work. It's their problem.
Yeah.
Stop trying to fucking spread your fucking concern for something to everybody else. Not everybody has to give a shit about something you give a shit about. That's ridiculous. If our podcast network was going downhill, like what are we supposed to do? Call Barstool like, hey guys, we're failing. Why are you letting us fail? What do you mean letting you fail, motherfucker? You went out on a business venture for 20 years, by the way, and it sucked the whole time. The product sucks. Nobody wants to watch people do layups for 2 hours.
Wait,
Get
Dan,
the fuck out of here.
Why did we not do that for Total Frat Move when we got fired?
Yeah.
Why did we not call Barstool and be like, how dare you let us get fired?
Yeah, it's fucked, huh? It's really, it's just this attitude these days. Anyways, I'm tired of talking about it. By the way, Jake Tapper completely weaseled his way out of answering any questions. He was like, me reporting on what's happening in Georgia doesn't mean I'm taking a stance on it. Like fucking CNN, the network, is taking a stance on it. Nobody's asking for your opinion. They're asking, so since you're talking about everything else, Jake, do you think CNN employees are going to start to quit because you believe in this so much or not? And he said, let me be clear, go away. That was his response to that. What a fucking piece of shit.
That's especially shitty, too, because he tweets about the Phillies all the time.
Oh, yeah. That guy's such a fucking cunt.
He's a big Philly sports homer, and I'm sure he was jacking off to that sweep to start the season all fucking weekend or whatever.
I'm sure. I don't care about that. The story that we were talking about before is more interesting. Castellanos got suspended 2 games and fined for being fun. So he got hit. He got drilled with a pitch, and it seemed pretty intentional. Let's be real about that.
Oh, so the way I read it, I didn't see the actual thing, but the way I read it is he got drilled and then like turned to Woodruff, or no, is it Woodruff? Yeah, Woodruff.
Brandon
and was
Woodruff?
Yeah, no, that's Jake Woodruff.
Oh, the catcher, yeah.
No, Jake Woodruff's the pitcher for the Cards.
Oh, yeah.
Woodruff, Brandon Woodruff is the yeah. He turned to him and was like, "You want the ball? You want the ball?" And then and he was like, "No, what?" And so he threw it into the stands. It sounded like it was kind of whatever.
Nah, he was trying to. I think Castellanos was just trying to show that he wasn't pissed. So he was trying to like flip him. He's like, hey, he's just trying to throw him the ball back. And he's like, what? And he was like, okay, cool. Just throw it in the stands. I think he was trying to make him look small because he clearly had it on purpose.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, because it was after Castellanos had hit a home run.
Right.
And then pimped it. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking no.
Yeah.
Like he flipped his bat.
Right. So he eventually moves his way around to third base. Wild pitch. Slides in. The pitcher's covering home. The throw from the catcher's late. He scores, and he stands up over him and fucking flexes. The same thing you see every fucking day in the NFL. On every play, regardless of how insignificant the play is, somebody's yelling at somebody else.
4 yards.
Right?
It's fucking...
And pretty much baseball is trying to fucking ruin its own sport. It seems like that with the 6th season of 30 Rock where Jack Donaghy's trying to tank the networks so Cable Town will have to sell them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand this shit. Molina got up in his face. He has to. That's his job.
Yes.
Right? Bench is clear. They have to. That's just how it works, man. And to be honest, now Reds fans hate Cardinals fans a little bit more. They hate the Cardinals players a little bit more, and that's a fucking good thing for baseball. Goddamn,
the best thing you could have.
Like, where are we in life without the '70s Yankees Dodgers fucking fights and the fucking great World Series? I mean, that's a huge part of Major League Baseball.
Or fuck sports. That. When's the last time you saw baseball hardcore on ESPN? It was when Jason Varitek was uppercutting A-Rod.
Or Roger Clemens throws the broken bat at Mike Piazza. Yeah. I mean, those are granted that was all roid rage probably, but that was great for fucking baseball, man. Yeah. That was fun as shit to watch that shit. And those tense moments, you discover people's character. Like Roger Clemens was Roger Clemens. Mike Piazza was Mike Piazza. That's fine. They're the Yankees players, the Mets players, the early 90s Phillies players all had attitude, right? A lot of attitude, but by and large, pretty good people. You saw people like Alex Rodriguez, not a good person, clearly. Right? Trying to slap the ball out of people's glove. There's a level.
You want that too, though.
There's a level of respectable cheating, and then there's some stuff that's just like, come on, man. You really tried to do that?
That's like bitch cheating. That's like, hey, batter. Like, shout.
So, Molina, Arenado, who's new to the Cardinals.
Do you think he's trying to fit in the prison gang?
For sure. You got to fucking jump in if you're the new guy, for sure. Arenado, Jordan Hicks, their closer, Eugenio Suarez, and Jesse Winker all got fined. Castellanos got fined and suspended for 2 games. Unbelievable. The Reds and Cardinals have been trying to fuck each other up for as long as they've existed, for at least 50 years now, right?
In the last call it 10 years, it's been especially heated.
Yeah.
Remember Johnny Cueto kicking Molina in the face with his cleat and shit when he was getting shoved up against the netting? Like the whole crowd like shoved him up against. He just started freaking out and kicking his cleats at people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Dude, so this is one thing I love. Being in St. Louis, and I'm relatively privy to this. Reds fans, for whatever reason, I mean, everyone hates the Cardinals in the Central, right? Because they've
been dominant in the Central. Other than the Cubs flashes a couple times, the Reds have been pretty good a couple times, but more.
It's the Cardinals.
For the last 20 years. Since Pujols came into the league, the Cardinals have been pretty good.
They are the Cardinals to the NL Central. They're
like the Braves to the NL East.
Well, yeah, or I mean, if you want to go another sport, they're like Kansas to Big 12 basketball, or even Bama to SEC football to a lesser extent.
Yeah.
Dude, Reds fans are a salty group, like the really hardcore bunch. So it's a much dirtier rivalry on the field, especially than the Cardinals and Cubs. The Cardinals and Cubs is a little more country club,
right? Yeah, yeah, and it should be. I mean, it's again, why the fuck are people so tuned up when the Yankees and Red Sox are good at the same time and they play each other? Why are people so crazy? Why do people love that so much? Because they fucking hate each other, right? And it's a dopamine hit. Regardless if your team wins or loses, you're going to get hits throughout the game, and it makes people want to watch more. Like either you win and you want to rub it in, or you lose and you want to get them back. It's one of those two things. It's fucking basic human psychology, and getting rid of that from sports, from any sport, but especially baseball, I don't know if there's a sport that has more villains and heroes than baseball, to be honest. I mean, I can't think of it. Maybe hockey. Like those rivalries between the Red Wings and Avalanche back in the day were pretty tough, man. I mean,
there were assaults committed.
Seeing two goalies fight is not something you should expect to see at a hockey game.
A guy got like low key curb stomped against the boards in one of those games. Like it's fucking.
Yeah. But in baseball, like you see, there's people that don't like each other in football, but because of penalties that are an immediate impact on the game, they mostly have to keep that shit off the field. Yeah. Same thing with basketball; they'll fucking tee you up. Right. In baseball, it's like you can get away with quite a bit of shit in baseball. Same thing with hockey because of the fighting rules. So there's deep rivalries, and it's what makes the game great. It's what makes it fun to watch. I don't want to. If my team loses to. Like, if the Braves lose to the Marlins, I'm like, whatever. If they lose to the Phillies, I'm like, or the Mets, I'm like, fucking motherfuckers, man. Right. God damn it, I'm pissed off. And that's a good thing for me to be pissed off.
Well, the other thing, too, that's interesting about baseball that probably gets the players more amped up is that in football or basketball, I don't know hockey well enough to say this, but in football and basketball, you're not necessarily personally responsible for a loss, but every single baseball player, unless you are back of the bullpen or on the bench and you're not going to see it, is responsible for that win or loss. Everyone has 4 at-bats. Yeah. Every pitcher is going to pitch at least an inning at some point in the series type of thing. You know what I mean? Like, you have more... I mean, if you're a cornerback or you know, whatever, like, you might get 2 passes at y'all game.
Maybe, yeah, but you may also give up the big pass, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of liability there, but it's not like baseball. Yeah, you're right. It's you have a bad game, or you can. I mean, it ultimately all comes down. I guess this is the case in a lot of sports, but more so, I think, in baseball, because if you're a quarterback and you throw a pick, maybe at the end of the game or towards the end of the game. If you're a basketball player, though, it's only when you take the last shot, or miss a free throw or something like that, or commit a foul or whatever it is. In baseball, if you're one of the last 6 batters up and you're down by 1 run, everybody feels personally responsible for that loss. Everybody in that fucking last 6 batters. So it is what it is.
Well, and also, it's a more focused stat line. Yeah. Because the thing is, like, you know, if you go 0 for 4 or 1 for 4, but it's like a nothing, you know, like a nothing hit in the second inning or whatever. I mean, everybody's kind of on the table for that. If you're the 7th man off the bench or whatever. And it's, dude, let these guys fucking be assholes to each other.
That's what I want to see, frankly. So.
Honestly, keep the All-Star game in Georgia. Let half the players be like, I think we should have moved it, and then let the other half be like, that fucking bitch is fuck him. Yeah. It's all. What do you think the ratings would be on the sport then?
They'd be better. Really? I mean, ratings are going to be bad for this All-Star game. to be honest. The only thing that saves it, and the reason they did this is because of this reason, is the home run derby, maybe. But only if they use live balls. If you use a deadened ball in Coors, it's still going to fucking be a piece of shit. Like the wobble from a less tight core. We've explained the physics of this before. The wobble doesn't get affected by the light air the same way that just the normal ball will, right? So
well, especially Atlanta in July.
Yeah. I mean, Atlanta in July, it would have been boring as fuck, to be honest. There's going to be a lot of warning track power there.
Yeah.
You want to get into the sponsors, then we'll get into how Ohtani is
goddamn insane. Yeah. Let's open up this sponsor, Airtable. We are not sponsored by Airtable, but
no,
we do use it.
We do use it. I mean, first up, we got KillcliffCBD.com. Use the promo code Drinking Bros, get 20% off. We drink Kill Cliff a lot here. You've seen us drinking it. You know who they are. They've been with us a long time.
Legit, my favorite energy drink.
Yeah, their energy drink's really good too. So right now, they have a thing going on in HEB. All of their non-CBD products are getting released in HEB as of yesterday, and that's April 7th. It's going to be going through April the 22nd or 24th or some shit like that. Go into the health and wellness area in your local HEB, and we're really trying to pump this up because they're trying to get out into all the other retail markets here in Texas. So if you're in Texas, go to HEB, go into the Health and Wellness Center, and you get two cans of anything they have other than CBD for $4. It's a good deal. And if you don't want to do that, if you're buying from home, go to KillcliffCBD.com or Killcliff.com. Use the promo code Drinking Bros. You're going to get 20% off and free shipping on your orders. It's that simple.
I love Kill Cliff.
Me too.
It is actually, it's one of the only energy drinks or CBD drinks, by the way, that won't make you feel weird after a hangover.
Yeah.
Like either of them. The CBD is great. And also, you always like doing the margarita.
Yeah, if you there's a recipe. I think it's on their Instagram actually. But if you use the Flaming Joe, the pineapple jalapeno one, and you mix it with a little tequila, or actually it's good with mezcal too. You can make yourself a margarita out of it.
Make it smoky.
Yeah, I do like it a little smoky. Next up, we got Keeps. 2 out of 3 men experience some form of hair loss by the time they're 35. That's 67%. More than 50 million men in the U.S. suffer male pattern baldness, and there are only 2 FDA-approved medications that prevent hair loss. Keeps offers both. So it's a simple, stress-free way to keep your hair. Convenient virtual doctor consultations and medications delivered straight to your door every 3 months. You never have to leave your home. It works just like some of our other products. Low cost. Treatment starts as low as $10 a month. They offer all the generic versions, discreet packaging, the same as everything else. They got more 5-star reviews than anybody else in this space because it works. Ross has been using it for a while, and you can see the results with that fucking head of lettuce he's got.
Fucking thick.
Yeah, you could. Somebody tried to rip his hair out once, but their hand got stuck in his hair.
Was it at the Super Bowl? Was it?
No, that would have been funny though. That would have been really. We can't talk about that during an ad read, unfortunately. But it was a fucking funny situation. So yeah, this is prescription medication. It is designed very specifically to be a preemptive treatment for male pattern baldness. If you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/dbsports. That's KEEPS.com/dbsports to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's keeps.com/dbsports to get your first month free. Keeps.com/dbsports. And remember, it takes 4 to 6 months to see the results of this. So you have to start as soon as possible. If your grandfathers started to lose their hair at some point in the 30s or 40s range, or if you're seeing signs of it yourself, you got to start now because preventing is easier than reversing it.
I agree. And also, I should note, by the way, my dad lost his hair, started losing his hair. He said, like, he started seeing clumps come out when he was in college, essentially. A lot of people start losing in college. If you're in your 20s, don't be ashamed. Again, like he said, discreet packaging.
Yeah.
If you know what's going out, stop that. Stop it.
Yeah, what are you going to fucking sit at home and pretend like it's not happening and just wear more hats or buy something that's inexpensive, that's easy, and use it and avoid all of that bullshit.
Dude.
Don't be an asshole.
One of the funniest things we had out of college was, like, me and my friends, we'd be like, dude, who's going bald? Like, who is going bald already at, like, 24?
Well, there are those guys for sure.
There are.
Yeah.
And honestly, and a lot of them, I think, will probably eventually get to these types of products, but like you said, are in denial for the first couple years, maybe. Don't be in denial. If you see it coming out and you know it's in the family or whatever, just get keeps.
Yeah, if you're thirsty, you drink water. If you're fucking starting to notice your hair falling out or you have a history of that in your family, fucking prevent it, dude. It's really that simple. Shohei Ohtani is goddamn insane. He has now thrown the hardest or the fastest pitch this season at 100.6 miles per hour and also hit the ball the hardest at 115.2 exit velocity. 2 homers so far. He actually, he's the first guy, I think, to hit a home run as a pitcher like this in the American League since the DH existed. I don't think a guy that started a game in a non-interleague game, yes.
Okay.
So he's the first pitcher in a non-interleague game to hit a home run.
Because Greinke's got a couple.
In a very long time. Yeah, Greinke's got a couple. There's a number of good pitchers. I mean, Rick Ankiel hit some home runs in some of his starts back in the day, too. There's a number of pitchers that have hit home runs in starts, but an American League pitcher doing it. And look, let's be real. There's no comparison to this guy except for really Babe Ruth. And I'm not saying he's on the same level as Babe Ruth career-wise. That would be ridiculous. But the last time we had a guy in Major League Baseball that had the potential to hit 30 home runs in any given season and win 20 games in a given season was Babe Ruth in between 1914 and 1920, right? And it hasn't happened again since.
No.
So there's no way to overstate how special this kid is.
It's a fucking unicorn. Like it honestly might be crazier than like Deion Sanders playing football and baseball.
Maybe, yeah.
Like really, it might be more difficult to do those two skill positions in one sport than it is to go just be fast in 2 sports.
Yeah, I don't know how he has time to stay on top of all of it. I mean, if you look at
so this is the problem.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, he's gonna get hurt
in his one start, where I think it might have been the same game that he smacked that goddamn ridiculous home run. He only went 4.2 innings and he walked 5.
Yeah, he was a little wild, and we'll see if that continues. He's got 4 pitches. It's early in the season. Sometimes it can be difficult to get that going. We'll see as the season goes along, but yeah, if he continues to be wild, that's not going to work.
No, and how do you bounce? So just to go back to, because obviously the only thing that ever fucking matters is, does anyone want to watch fucking baseball?
Yeah.
As we are like, we should do a baseball show every week.
Yeah, right.
How do you balance the entertainment factor with like, oh fuck, we need to win?
You do it by putting him in the closer position and have him start every day, like I've said for 2 goddamn years now. Because then you fucking get him the leather jacket and the stupid haircut like Charlie Sheen, and you have him coming out of the bullpen to Wild Thing, or maybe I don't know. Charlie Sheen
was a starter. They only moved him to closer for that one last game.
Yeah, but he was shit as a starter.
No, they got him glasses. He was good.
I think it was more the attitude. The glasses didn't help his fastball in Major League 2. At any rate,
that's true.
Yeah, I think you can capture that entertainment value by having a guy starting every day that's also your closer. Why would that not be as entertaining? Well, it also helps the team.
The other thing too is, if you remember, and obviously you do, just to like give our Braves slant on this, there's only 2 pitchers that people go wild for: starters, and that's really only your number 1 and 2 starter, unless you have a stupid rotation where you go like 3 or 4 deep, and the fucking closer.
Yep.
How fucking bananas do people go? I mean, like, was Craig Kimbrell not appointment viewing for you in 2011?
Yeah. I mean, it was for a number of reasons. One, he throws hard as fuck.
Right.
And he mostly relies on a very, very high velocity, high spin rate fastball, but also the stupid fucking stretch that he's in. I mean, it's...
Well, he also... The slider, that was just...
The slider was great, for sure, but everybody tuned in for the fastball, right?
Right.
And they also tuned in for this shit, where he's like got his arm out, like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? But it worked. I mean, it's his personality, and that's what... there have been a lot of great closers over time. Eckersley was one of them. After he had a long career as a starter with the Cubs, with the Cubs, he became a closer with the Athletics. He had a very distinct style. Trevor Hoffman threw a change. He was the first closer to primarily throw a changeup as his number 1 pitch, right?
Yep.
And he was a super calm demeanor guy. That was his brand. A closer with a brand, I think, is a big deal And we see it all the time because I honestly believe it gets into the heads of the other team.
Absolutely.
I think when fucking when Aroldis Chapman comes into the game, that high leg kick and his fucking wicked fastball, and then Kimbrel with all this bullshit, and then even John Smoltz when he was in.
Well,
like, it fucking. I think it's an intimidation factor.
It fucks with you when you know for sure, pretty much, that you don't have 9 innings to score runs. You have 8 innings to score runs.
Yeah,
that's a huge fucking problem.
Yeah,
It's
a lot of pressure. Yeah,
that's the type of thing where in other sports, like we always, go nuts for like how Bill Belichick kind of like cuts off the angles and like gets like all the tiny little advantages you can get.
Yeah.
Right. Taking away essentially 3 outs from a team is a monstrous statistical advantage.
I mean, that's 11% of your outs. It's right. I mean,
yeah,
it's a big deal.
And then, like you said, the mental factor of being like, this fucking guy is waiting for me.
Yeah, I mean, knowing that a guy that has 4 legit pitches that can throw strikes and throws 100 miles per hour is coming out of the bullpen, and by the way, he just hit 2 home runs in this game. That fucks your head up,
It's
man.
really
That's not good for the other team. We'll see what they do. I don't know what's going to happen in San Diego with Tatis Jr. He's got a slight labral tear. We'll see if it fucking heals, but they're opting for rest instead of surgery right now, obviously, because they just gave him fucking a gajillion dollars.
They sound really sketchy about it.
Yeah, they should be.
They're like, oh, it could be 10. We don't know. We hope it could be 10. If you watch that, have you watched the injury?
Yeah, it's violent.
It is, violent. Like, he takes a giant swing. It's kind of like, man, I've done this before, where you just like move to do something and it doesn't happen the way you plan, and your whole body gets fucked from it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, he's, I think he's out a month minimum. Like, it looked bad.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. And here's the real problem. Now, well, there's 2 real problems. One, he's on a 14-year, $340 million contract, 100% of which is guaranteed. This is Major League Baseball. This isn't football, right?
Right, yeah.
So now, because of the insurance, baseball has career-ending injuries far less than other sports. Frankly, I mean, statistically, far less than basketball, definitely far less than football, and they have longer average careers. I think it's like the average MLB career is like 6.5, almost 7 years. That's way longer than anything else. Anyways, they have better insurance. So in the NBA, if you're on the roster, you're on a contract, and you get injured and you're out for that season, the team can file the insurance claim, and I think they recoup about 70% of your salary. It doesn't help with the cap hit, unfortunately. And some leagues have made provisions for that. I don't know what baseball's is exactly, but this is a big fucking deal. Him being out for a month, which is likely, is a big deal. And the fact that this is his 3rd Major League Baseball season and he hasn't made through one of them yet without getting hurt is a big fucking problem.
And shoulder, not
for
the
a
best.
Third baseman?
Not the best. Shortstop.
Or a shortstop, rather, yeah.
Not the best thing to hurt, right? So, maybe the most athletically demanding position on the field, arguably. And he, like we saw how he injured himself, swings fucking violently.
Yeah.
This is bad news. Like, our entire first half of this show, minus Shohei Ohtani being amazing, is, wow, baseball's fucked.
Yeah.
I would be pretty fucking worried and pretty fucking unhappy if I was a Padres fan right now. Now, granted, they probably got a little rose-colored glasses on because, Hosmer started off the season on fire, and this has got Machado, and their rotation looks real fucking good. And
yeah, I mean, what's his nuts? God damn it, the other Asian pitcher that's great. Fuck's his name? They just came over from the Cubs. Started out with
Yu Darvish.
Yu Darvish, yeah. Yu Darvish is actually looking pretty goddamn good this year.
Yeah.
It'd be a shame to waste all that shit they did.
Right.
With this guy being out. I mean, we'll see what happens. It's his right arm, right?
Shohei,
or his left arm, right?
Tatis,
yeah.
I didn't look that up, actually.
I mean, it was his follow-through arm, right?
Yeah, I think it was. I think you're right, yeah.
It's not going to cause an issue throwing necessarily, but, I mean, it's going to change his swing, and that's what they care about. They're not too, I mean, I don't think anybody's too worried about his defense. If you get great defense out of him, that's great. But
right. Well, also, by the way, they do have another pretty good fucking shortstop on the roster playing third base.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, that's the move, right? Because it's easier to find a corner infielder than it is to find a great shortstop.
Fucking easily. Just put Machado back at short.
Is that what they're doing?
Probably not yet, because why move Machado if you can put someone else at short right now? But if Tatis comes back, and I mean, fuck, dude, when the Braves had Matt Adams for 60 days, they put Freeman at third base because Matt Adams was on a hot streak and couldn't stop hitting dingers.
Yeah.
And Machado's already played shortstop, I believe, right?
We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got this kid from South Korea filling in a little bit right now, which we'll see how that goes. I've never heard of him. I think it'd be a good move. If he's going to be out long term, to be honest, if you're the organization, you got to think, when are we going to get this guy out for the rest of the season? You know what I mean? When are we going to shut him down? What is going to be the impetus to shut him down and to start over next year? But you got him for 13 more seasons after this one. You know what I mean?
You can't fuck around all this year. And the other thing, too, by the way, is they're a deep enough team and a good enough team that they don't need to rush him back. No,
they can. I mean, if he needs to be out a month or two to really let the thing heal properly, I think that's the move. Because in addition to what you said, they're a wild card team. They're not going to beat the Dodgers in the regular season. So you're playing for the wild card. And look at who you're playing against. A Central that's shown itself to be pretty competitive. So they're going to beat each other up. And an NL East that's going to destroy each other. They're going to beat each other up all year. You don't really have to. My thinking is San Diego could probably sneak into the playoffs with 89 to 90 wins, something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
So your only real problem at that point is at least if it goes well for us, is you catch Jacob deGrom in the first round.
Yeah.
Or in the wild card game, essentially.
Yeah. Which is likely.
Yeah.
To be honest.
And you probably want.
It's going to be deGrom, or it's going to be fucking Strasburg or Scherzer, or it's going to be Max Fried or somebody like. I mean, you're fucked. And if you're in that play-in game, no matter what happens, even if it's.
Well, the thing is, though, the fucking Padres can toss it right back at you.
For sure, yeah, they got a great rotation.
They got fucking Snell and Darvish and the other Musgrove.
Musgrove, yeah.
I mean, fuck, dude. They're not worried about pitching, but. They want their full lineup ready.
Yeah.
And like you said, they can make the fucking wild card if Tatis misses 2-3 months.
Right. Well, there are some teams that are doing pretty well so far. I mean, the Phillies got off to a hot start. Their pitching staff looks really good. Eflin is not that great. He's going to regress. But Aaron Nola is a good pitcher, and Wheeler is a really good pitcher.
Yeah.
Like, those guys are going to fucking continue.
That's a good 1-2 punch.
Yeah, it really is. They have the highest average velocity in the majors in their bullpen right now. That's interesting. And that offense is tough, man. They got a lot of stuff going on there.
Well, that's the fucked up thing that happened. And, it's just one series, and everyone always overweights the first series of the year and all that stuff.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, 2 years ago, the Phillies swept the Braves, and that was the first year with Bryce Harper. And everyone was like, my God, give them the trophy already.
I think they tanked out and won 87 games. I think the Braves won 101 games or something like that. Or something.
No. That was the first year, or no, the second year we won division. It was 93. They were in the 80, low 80s.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about getting swept. But dude, I mean, fuck, dude, Wheeler was a really good pitcher for the Mets. He just was kind of hurt for a little bit. The skill was always there, and Nola's Nola.
Yeah.
I think I'm a little biased because Eflin's on my fantasy team, but if Eflin's your third starter, that's not a bad third starter.
No, and to be honest, having Matt Moore as your fourth starter is not a bad deal either, because he comes over from that Tampa Bay situation where the people that come out of that organization, pitchers especially, seem to not be affected by the playoffs. It doesn't change them at all. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because of how boring Tampa is. They're fucking who cares? I have no idea what it is. But, yeah, this Phillies lineup is tough. I mean, Bryce Harper is he's the Dwight Howard of baseball.
You're going all the way to Dwight Howard?
Yeah. He's got all the tools, should be a fucking MVP candidate every year, and he's had one MVP caliber season, frankly.
Yeah. For which he did win the MVP for.
He did, yeah, absolutely. But that was the only really, truly great standout season. Otherwise, he's a middle of the lineup hitter for sure, but he's not in the top 20 baseball players in Major League Baseball. Not even close, as a matter of fact. I mean, he's okay. I don't even know if he's top 50. To be honest.
Okay, so you say top 20. Let's take pitchers out of it. Is he a top 20 hitter in baseball?
I don't think so, no. I mean, not with this new crop of guys coming in.
I mean, he's certainly not top 10. He doesn't sniff the top 10, but is he floating like 1920.
Let me see if I can find 15 guys that I think are better than him. How about that?
I'll do it with you. I'll go Fangraphs batter war last year.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, the crazy thing about Bryce Harper too, though, is that like, even though he hasn't necessarily lived up to his potential, which he fucking hasn't at all.
Right.
At any given moment, you feel like he could hit a 6-run home run.
For sure, yeah. I mean, he's strong as fuck.
He hits goddamn bananas home runs. Let me look at. All right, I'm looking at WRC Plus from 2019 because fuck 2020.
I mean, his ESPN WAR was 34th ranked.
Okay.
Among hitters.
So, in 2019, with WRC Plus, let me look where fucking Harper even is. Not in the top 30.
No.
Not in the top 30.
No.
Here's some interesting guys that were in the top 30 that you may not think are better than Bryce Harper.
Trevor Story.
Jorge Soler of the Kansas City Royals.
He's on my fantasy team for a fucking reason, my man. That dude crushes the ball.
Max Muncy.
Max Muncy, Josh Donaldson's probably in there. George Springer's probably in there, although you might expect those two. But Jorge Polanco, would you expect him to be up there? Probably not.
No, not
but
so much. We just talked about earlier, Eugenio Suarez.
Yep. But he's a third baseman, right?
WRC Plus only rates offensive output.
Oh, I know. I'm saying he's the third baseman, right? Yeah, he almost hit 50 home runs that year. Freddie Freeman is a better hitter than him. Bellinger, fucking Bregman. I mean, obviously Trout, Yelich, Betts. Those are the fucking top 3 hitters in the league right now.
I got a Marcus Semien spotting on here.
That might have been an outlier. I'd like to see that in another season. But I mean, Real Muto definitely is better, and he's a catcher, so he plays less games.
Crazy, yeah.
But Nelson Cruz is already overperforming. So I just think Bryce Harper's a huge disappointment. Yeah.
I would agree with that.
But Didi Gregorius looks locked in this year, and so does Real Muto, right? They both look like they're going to crush this year. That's a fucking tough lineup. And you got a guy, Gene Segura, who is he's middle of the road, but he's pretty consistent.
Reese Hoskins, kind of a poor man's Pete Alonso.
Yeah. Reese Hoskins is good. I don't know how I feel about Andrew McCutchen. He's only 34, but he seems like he's a lot older. When I'm watching him play, it feels like he's older.
Well,
I don't know if that's because he's slow or what.
He kind of suffers from that thing of when he was like in his prime. Like a lot of it was, at least if not actual athleticism, people just assumed it was athleticism. Do you know what I mean? Because he was like he was a good defender, but he was never like, I feel like an elite, crazy elite defender.
No.
And then he would steal like 20 bases.
He's a left fielder.
Right. But I mean, McCutchen is also the type of guy though, where if he adjusts himself, he could have and stays even moderately healthy. Like he has the potential for a late career, like Chipper Jones type career, because he's smart. He strikes me as an incredibly intelligent batter.
Yeah, for sure. Well, he's not that intelligent because he keeps his swing is dog shit, to be honest.
I think he needs to adjust it, and that's one thing that Chipper did. Chipper stopped trying to hit home runs.
Well, I don't know if it's a problem with trying to hit home runs with this guy. It's a problem with him holding his bat down here, which make it like anything above your hands is off the table as a hitter at that point.
Right.
Now it's going to make you a good low ball hitter, but he's had trouble with that high pitch his whole career, and he's still going to have trouble with it now. But you know, and people like to pitch low in the zone, so maybe it'll work out for him. The Astros are doing well this year, even though people are bringing inflatable trash cans and throwing them onto the field. That's really funny.
Did you see the actual guy, the drunk fan? I think it was at an A's game. Picked up an actual trash can because there's no rules at the Coliseum. I feel like.
Oh no, no. They're just lucky if
people show up.
Yeah, if people make it out of there alive, that's a win for them.
Yeah, the guy picked up a huge fucking like industrial stadium trash can, put it on the edge of the wall, and was just like blah 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 blah.
As they should be, but they did sweep the A's.
They fucking murdered the A's.
Plus 27 for that 4-game series as well. Rotation and lineup both look good. I mean, we know this is a good team.
Yeah.
Right. So
I think they both of our World Series participant picks?
I think it's going to be Houston and probably Atlanta if they can do something about their bullpen. If not, it's going to be the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. And that team, it's offense and defense. They've put together. The organization has done a really good job of putting together that team.
Incredibly well run.
Even losing Springer, I don't know if Kyle Tucker's really he doesn't really make up for that. But the progress of what's his name, Alvarez, and how much I think this kid is a legit, like maybe not this year, but maybe over the next 2 or 3 seasons is a legit MVP candidate. Like I think this kid might win an MVP.
I mean, well, Luno built such a ridiculous farm system there while also, making the majors ridiculous. And then, I mean, you still got Bregman, who is a legit MVP candidate, and Brantley, who's kind of like if Nick Markakis could hit home runs. You know what I mean? Like a professional hitter, but like with power.
Right. Yeah. And then, also in the AL West, the Angels are off to a really good start. I mean, you expect it, I guess. They have their team is incredible, but it's like that. It's like that team that always fucking shoots itself in the foot. I mean, Mike Trout's hot as fuck already. That's not a good sign for anybody. No. Except for the Angels, obviously. That's a good sign for them.
He has in, I want to say 6 or 7 games, he's already put up 0.6 wins above replacement, according to Fangraphs.
So basically, he's almost won a game by himself already.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. That is ridiculous, man.
Also, by the way, I don't know if you caught this. This is my favorite moment of the season so far. It wasn't even the Castellanos thing. It was Ohtani was on second, and Trout fucking murders a Greinke pitch. I forget what kind of pitch it was, but murders a Greinke pitch, and Ohtani, it was clearly gone off the bat.
Yep.
Ohtani turns around and just goes, waves at the ball.
That's like when in that special 400, I think it was 403 3-pointer season for Steph Curry. Every time he shot the ball, everybody on the Warriors would just turn around and start running the other way. They didn't even wonder if he was making the shot. They're just like, fuck it. And it's from 30 feet out. It's like, whatever. But it's Mike Trout. Reds are doing well too. Castellanos actually almost has a full
He's at point. He's
win,
ahead of Trout. He's got 0.7 WAR, although his 2-game suspension will.
Yeah, that'll put him behind a little bit, but whatever. Dodgers are also looking good.
Dodger things.
Teams not looking good are the Braves and Athletics. They both got swept in their first series, but that's not. I mean, the Athletics are. Everybody knows their story. They start out slow every fucking year. It doesn't matter. They're like the fucking Mark Teixeira of teams.
Right.
Every fucking April sucks for these guys.
Well, also they play the averages, so it doesn't matter what you do in any one given month. Or one given week, especially. It matters what you do over the course of X amount, which is why they don't win World Series.
But their pitching looks pretty good. I mean. Not pretty good. Their pitching looks pretty bad. Sorry. They're allowing almost two base runners per inning. That's not good. Like that's the kind of stat if you're a pitching coach who's looking down at, you get optioned to AAA. Right.
They are. I will say that Trevor Rosenthal's been out. He started the season on the injured list, but their starters have not been good. And playing the Astros. They were playing the Astros for the first fucking series, so that's one thing.
Yeah.
But also, like you said, they start slow, but they play the averages. They know that over a season they will average out to be minimum. Essentially, what they do is, to me, always is they're like, okay, we have a fucking baseline, a straight up baseline of call it 86 wins.
Yeah. And
then we just have to tweak and hope and pray that we get over 90.
Yeah.
And we're in.
I mean, they do it most of the time. The problem is that doesn't work in a fucking 1-game series for sure. It doesn't work in a 5 or 7 either. No. So, whatever. And the Braves, obviously, we're Braves fans. They got off to a slow start. I don't really care about that, though. What I do care about is the bullpen sucking off the bat. But I think it's a good thing because it's exposing that problem. The worst thing that can happen is if you have a problem is if you fail successfully.
Right.
Kind of like how Michigan's football team continues to win a game here and there, and Harbaugh still has his job.
Yeah.
Like if that's a problem for them, and it's going to be a problem for the Braves. I hope their bullpen gets lit the fuck up this first month, and they're like, God damn it, we got to go out and do something because that's all this team needs to win the fucking World Series. We'll see.
No, and I was talking this on Twitter the other day. Actually, it's just like between last year, where the American League opponent was the Tampa Bay Rays, and this year, where the American League opponent will absolutely be flawed no matter who they are. Way more flawed than an American League opponent ever fucking is.
I guess maybe Houston is the only somewhat exception to that. Their bullpen is their weakest part, and it's not really weak.
Yeah. They don't have a strong rotation, though.
Yeah, other than fucking Greinke.
You can fuck with McCullers.
Yeah.
And if Verlander's back, Verlander's the shit, but Verlander's back from a surgery and he's fucking old.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be 38, and he's probably not going to come back until fucking July,
Right.
if I had to guess, which is fine. They'll be able to make it through the regular season, though, with that. And then, if he does come back, the fact that he's old is going to be of no consequence because, one, he just got all the shit that's been wrong with him fixed,
True.
right? And that's what we talked about.
Still got that dump truck ass.
Yeah, he does have a great ass. What we talked about with Brigus that day is the surgery, the Tommy John surgery, doesn't necessarily make you better than you were before. It takes you back. It fixes all the shit that's been wrong with you this whole time. And he's 37. That's a big deal for him, right?
Yeah.
So he may come out throwing the fucking 100 miles per hour again. There's actually a very good chance he will. If he comes in July and gets fucking 12 starts and
Plays
goes
himself
into
into game
playoffs,
shape.
holy shit, dude. That's going to be a fucking problem.
Yeah.
Because we've seen that before with these 1-2 fucking starter punches in the playoffs. It's devastating sometimes.
It is, but the problem is they're still only really 2 deep, maybe 3 deep.
McCullers is good enough to win regular season games. I wouldn't trust him in the playoffs, but to be honest, if you have fucking Greinke and Verlander going, is it gonna matter that much? Well, my bigger problem is right now they're running Ryan Presley out, who's a full-time closer for the first time in his career, basically, right? We'll see how this fucking works out. You never know. You never know about the closer. To be honest.
They're going to be motivated as shit. And that's what's scary is they looked motivated as shit last postseason.
Yeah.
They looked fucking furious.
Yep. They just didn't have it.
Yeah. But yeah, a little. I want to get a little to fancy talk here as well. Like we said, thank you to everyone managing the leagues. How are you feeling so far? How'd your draft go?
The draft was good. I got Tyler Glasnow, Max Fried, and Zach Greinke as my top 3 pitchers. And then my bottom of the rotation, if you want to call it that, is Stroman, who's already looking good this year. Kikuchi from Seattle, who nobody knew about, but he looks really fucking good too.
Yeah.
And then Zach Davies, who's going to win a lot of games. In Chicago, I say he's probably in for about 14, 15 wins. So I'm looking good there. Jordan Hicks is my closer. My main one in Alex Colomé on the Cardinals and Twins, respectively. 2 teams are going to win a lot of close games. So I'm feeling pretty good about that as well. Lineup is I got Darno from the Braves.
I actually looked at your lineup because I'm able to.
Yeah.
And it cracked me up that the first 3 dudes were Braves.
Yeah, I mean, and it was actually a coincidence. I definitely wanted Albies because he's got such high ceiling, and I definitely wanted Freddie Freeman because he's so consistent.
Right.
That's what you want in fantasy, right? Darno just happened to be, I mean, after fucking Real Muto and maybe Vasquez, the rest of the catchers
drop off.
It's just like whatever, man. So I took him. My third baseman's in Rendon, and my backup for that's Chris Bryant. Feeling pretty good about that position as well. Shortstop was lean this year, in my opinion. I took Andrelton Simmons just because he doesn't get hurt. He doesn't get injured that much, and he'll last the whole season. That's why I took him. And then I got for second, obviously Albies, but I also picked up Colton Wong and Jeff McNeil, who doubles as an outfielder, so you get a little flexibility there. Also picked up Dominic Smith from the Mets, who is a first baseman outfielder, so you get some flexibility there. My other outfielders, Christian Yelich, Randall Grichuk, Jorge Soler, Austin Meadows.
What's your thought with that lineup, though? What are you trying to draft?
What I'm trying to draft are people that I know are going to put up numbers if I can get them, right?
But so the 5 fucking categories for offense are home runs, runs, RBIs, average, and stolen bases.
Right.
What do you value?
Well, I don't give a shit about stolen bases, to be honest.
Okay. So you're just punting one category.
Well, they're just random through the season. And unless you get one of the top base stealers, then it doesn't really come into play that much because it's 1 or 2. Like if you steal 30 bases a year, right? That's 5 a month.
Right.
Maybe 1 a week. And these are week-long fucking matchups. So I'm talking about one versus the other. If I have to decide on one versus the other, I want to dominate the pitching categories.
Okay.
Because those are the ones that you see in fantasy baseball. People that have great pitching rotations, you can dominate all 5, if not just 4, of those categories all season long. If you've got a good enough rotation, even you can do that. So we'll see how that goes. For batting, I'm looking mostly for people that are flexible because there are minor injuries, there's days off and stuff like that. So people that play multiple positions.
Yep.
I'm always looking for that. I'm looking for guys that don't get hurt that often as well because that can fuck your whole goddamn lineup up. And you can't really plan for that in football. You never know if somebody's going to get hurt in football, right? It's just fucking random half the time. But In baseball, it seems like the same players are hurt every year.
Yeah.
So I try to
Guys
avoid
are a little
those
tender.
people. Yeah.
I got to say, I actually have a little bit of the opposite strategy on this, which is there's two categories that are so winnable that if you punt them, I can't stomach not winning them.
Okay.
Which is now I don't draft necessarily only for these things, but I keep it in mind within the first, call it 10 rounds.
Yeah.
Or 12 rounds actually, which is stolen bases and saves. Especially now because no one steals, you can get most of the steals in the league off of like 2-3 guys.
Yeah, but you can also pick up steals happen in bunches too. If you look at the data, typically the guys that are high stolen base guys are in one of two categories. One, that's all they do, or two,
Right.
It's in addition to power numbers. So those power number people are already off the table because they're the upper echelon of the league. The people that steal bases and that's all they're really good at, base stealing and defense, you can pick them up during the season. So, for example, if I'm in a week where I'm just dominating 5 or 6 categories and I have some flexibility at the bottom of my lineup, I'll go look and see who's stealing bases right then and drop a guy and pick him up.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're right, you can easily win those. You can do the same thing happened with saves, right? Saves tend to come in clumps for some reason. I don't know why. So I do the same thing.
So what I do is I try to get 4 closers. I have no batters on my bench. I keep with the same batting lineup because one thing I don't give a shit about, the one category I don't give a shit about is batting average because that's random as fuck.
Yeah.
That depends on who they're playing every week and all that shit. Fuck batting average. If you're like, I need to only get like dudes who hit 280 or over, fuck, that's
it's not
crazy.
gonna.
The two things I draft for, or the one thing I always draft for is if a hitter home runs. Because if you hit a home run, you get 3 categories at once.
Yeah, you get a hit, you get a fucking RBI, you get a home run.
And a run.
And a run.
Yeah.
So you get
4 categories. Yeah, 4 categories. Home runs. That's what I fucking want. And then what I typically do is, even though I'm getting killed in strikeouts this week, is after a couple weeks and I figure out who my pitching staff is, because I kind of stack up my pitching staff with like number 3 and 4 starters who are, good whip guys, and maybe the ERA will work out for them.
Right.
But I try to get extra volume because that gives you extra strikeouts instead of having to draft Garrett Cole, you know what I mean, in the fucking 3rd round, who will get you 10 strikeouts to fucking start. But you only get 2 starts every week. Why not get the extra starts or whatever?
Yeah.
I'll typically just take extra starters at the middle of the rotation and just get their 6 strikeouts, whatever, try to make up for it. I don't know. That's typically how I go. It's
well, you got to pay attention to this stuff too on a day-to-day basis. That's why I like fantasy baseball more than fantasy football, because every single day I've got to check my lineup.
Yes.
Just to make sure, like, oh shit, I'm down like 3 strikeouts today. Or tomorrow, I'm down 3 strikeouts this week right now. I can win that category. All I got to do is go look on the waiver wire or look at free agents and be like, well, this guy's starting tomorrow. My opponent and fantasy doesn't have a starter tomorrow. I'm going to go fucking grab this guy and win that category.
And you have to weight that against where am I at on ERA and whip?
Yep.
And who's this guy fucking pitching against?
Yeah.
Because I'm obviously not going to start somebody who's pitching against the fucking Phillies or whoever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
But yeah, no, that's what I love to. And that's what, once I figure out who I drafted is probably having a decent season, then I'll start flipping out the guys who are clearly like not doing so well so far, and who maybe they could have a decent. I could pick them back up, right? But no one's going to pick up a guy with a 5 ERA after a month,
no,
right?
No.
That's typically what I go for. We'll see. It's worked out sometimes. It hasn't worked out other times. Weirdly, Christian Vasquez of the catcher for the Red Sox, to speak to your stolen base point, by the way. 2 stolen bases in the last 2 days.
Yeah, I know. I'm playing against him in fantasy this week. It's fucking stupid, and that's one of the categories I'm down in, and it's by 2 stolen bases. Like, get the fuck out of it. If it was Real Muto, I'd be like, all right, he's one of he might be the fastest catcher that's ever played baseball. To be honest, it would be either him or Pudge when he was like 19. But that would make sense. Christian Vasquez stealing bases. A Red Sox catcher stealing bases seems offensive to me, because I think back to Veritek, Saltalamacchia, people like that. I'm like, nah, that's not a thing.
Guys who can't move.
Yeah, guys who can barely fucking walk, much less run. Anyways, I got to go get on an airplane. Let's close this shit out.
Let's get the fuck out of here. Thank you guys for
Grand Canyon, bitch.
Thank you guys for watching. Dan's out of here, and his gun is too. You taking that on the plane? You leaving it at your?
No. Nope.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Follow Drink Bros Sports. Please, we still need subscriptions and likes and reviews on all the podcast audio platforms, iTunes, Spotify, all that shit. So please leave that. And, if you're playing some fantasy baseball, hit us up, talk some shit, whatever the fuck. We'll see you next Thursday for baseball. And obviously we do a million shows a day. So keep tuning in.